AEW is used to being in the red. You could say it's its favourite colour. Attendances, viewership, figures. It's all red. But according to Tony Khan, none of that's going to matter because he believes that AEW will become the second most profitable company in the history of the wrestling business. Welcome back, guys, to Fall Wrestling. Seen Tony Khan here make a comment while speaking during the All Out pay-per-view, heading into the second pay-per-view in just 2 weeks, doing another media conference, whatever. I get it, 2 weeks, he's desperate for money, $100 he's trying to get off the American audience. I mean, can you imagine having to pay $100 just to watch AEW twice in 2 weeks, especially with this whole tough economy? There must be better things to spend $100 on, but Tony, expecting you to buy 2 pay-per-views, and hell, maybe if you keep buying his pay-per-views, maybe what Tony Khan believes will actually come true, because he did say that AEW will be the second most profitable company in the history of the professional wrestling business. Obviously, number one is WWE. That's never going to be touched. I don't see how WWE could ever be beaten. WWE goes out of business today. I still don't see how another company ever becomes more profitable than WWE has at this point. It's never going to happen.
No, never going to happen. Don't see how it does happen.
What won't happen?
Well, no, it won't happen.
So everyone else is competing for second place?
I don't see how Tony Khan's even going to get second place.
Well, yeah, we will talk about that in a minute. So let's listen to what Tony Khan had to say. We've got a quote here from Big Tony Dog himself, and then we'll dissect it and we'll see whether or not we believe that AEW will be the second most profitable company in the history of wrestling. He says, quote, "We're still working through the details of the agreement, which is a very long, tenuous process, but a good process to do. It can be long to figure out a contract for one person, one player, one athlete. Imagine an entire league doing an agreement for all of our events and all the exciting things we're working on. There are some exciting things to come without revealing anything that would jeopardize our company or the great status of everything we're working on. There is a lot of excitement on each side. Without getting into the future of streaming, I acknowledge there have been a lot of good conversations between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery. There are a lot of things to be worked out, but it's a great time for AEW. This is going to work out really well for AEW and our fans." End of quote. So that's what Tony had to say, first of all, on the Warner Brothers Discovery media renewal rights and all that stuff. And I mean, what's your thoughts on that? This renewal contract thing's been going on for a while. Tony says that it takes time. Look, I'm not denying it takes time, but I mean, I think if Warner Brothers were really interested in AEW, a deal would have been done by now. The fact this is dragging on, in my opinion, is not a great look.
No, it's not a great look, and if the business was that sustainable and it was making that many profits and it was that good, the ratings, they would have picked up by now. Chris Jericho, 3 years to the day, a couple of days ago, said, "In a couple of weeks, we'll be beating Raw." How did that go, Chris Jericho? That went out the window. I mean, they got the CM Punk boost, right? And they thought, we're going to be smashing Raw soon. That absolutely collapsed. We recently did the Dynamite ratings, 660k. You know, we went from 1 million to 800k, and now it literally looks like we're going to 700k. Can they get above these numbers again?
But when you look at WWE, it's like when they're trying to get a new show for SmackDown or a new home for Raw, whatever, you know, the deals happen relatively quickly.
Yep.
Oh, what's this? SmackDown's Fox deal's ending? Well, now SmackDown's going to the USA Network. Or, oh, look at this, we're moving Raw to Netflix. We're going to be momentarily on this show. Oh, NXT's going to CW. These things, yeah, you might hear about it in advance, but they kind of quickly happen. With AEW, these negotiations have been going on for a while. Tony keeps saying they're great, they're great, they're great. We're getting great offers. Everything's great. If it was that great, would something not have happened by now?
As bad as WWE is, I don't think they're going around broadcasters begging for a deal. If they can't get USA Network, they'll move to the next one.
And also, like with Triple H, or McMahon, or whatever, would they maybe not give an update, then that's it? It feels like Tony Khan's talking about this every single week.
Yeah. Going round in circles.
Almost like he's trying to reassure everybody that there's no issue, no problem. Anyway, then Khan said the following about AEW's chances of becoming more profitable than WCW was. Tony Khan says, quote, "I think it is reasonable. Whether those cash flows happen overnight when the new deal kicks in, I can't say those things for sure. There is still a lot to be figured out. I do think the diecast is that AEW is going to be the second most profitable wrestling company at this point of all time, which is very impressive for a promotion that is just over 5 years old and has been on television for less than 5 years. It's amazing how quickly we're expanding. The expansion of television product going from 2 hours a week to 5 hours a week, being very excited about what the future holds in our media deal. It's really a great time for the company. As getting into the semantics and mechanics of the accounting and how we're counting all the dollars, I'm not sure how much money WCW made in 1998, nor am I honestly sure how much money Jim Crockett was making in 1986, but over the duration of this deal, I expect over this multi-year period that we're about to enter into, that we will be the second most profitable wrestling company in the history of the wrestling business. It's a really exciting thing, and it's only the beginning. It's the beginning of a really long journey. It's been really long. The journey is long, but it's still early in the long journey. We're really building for the future. End of quote. So finally, we had a bit of a journey there with Tony Khan in his comment, but we got to the end of it. And he essentially thinks that AEW will, with this new deal, become the most second profitable wrestling company in the history, despite him not knowing how much money WCW or Jim Crockett was making. So, therefore, I don't see how he can determine whether this new deal can make AEW second when he doesn't know what WCW or Jim Crockett was doing. Now, we don't know either. We can't sit here and say that AEW cannot become the second most profitable company. I don't have the figures behind WCW. I don't have the figures behind Jim Crockett. I don't have the figures behind ECW. I don't have the figures behind TNA. But I highly doubt that AEW will be the second most profitable company. Now, when you factor in inflation and when you factor in just the like money's went up, TV deals are worth more, people need to actually factor that in. So inflation plays a big role in this. AEW might be getting the second biggest contract offer from a TV show or from a TV platform in the history of any like wrestling company outside of WWE. That might be the case, but when you actually look at the expenditure of AEW and how much money they've got going out, when you look at guys like Will Ospreay, Mercedes Moné, $5 million dollar contracts, when you look at like the money that they're losing on shows with the low attendances and stuff along those lines, how can AEW be the most second profitable company? To me, it just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make sense. I mean, I look at WCW, far more mainstream. They were on crazy contracts as well. You can't. Both companies, in terms of their contracts, are absolutely ridiculous. But you're right. See the landscape in terms of money.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't think AEW is making a profit.
Yeah, but 26 years ago is 98, 86 is what? I mean, that is 38 years ago. See how different the world is, money-wise? But you're right, it's not about who's the richest company. It's about who's making a profit, and AEW just doesn't make a profit.
If Paul Heyman tells the truth, ECW is more profitable than AEW.
Yeah.
Not that ECW was ever getting the big contracts that AEW got. Not that ECW on their shitty little network was being offered millions. I'm not saying that. But if you look at ECW, when you factor in what Paul Heyman was paying his wrestlers, then you factor in what he made back from pay-per-view sales, attendances, not DVD sales or whatever, but VHS tapes, merchandise sales, and all that stuff, that would make ECW more profitable than AEW, because unless Paul Heyman's a liar, but he's came out and spoke about how ECW actually did make profit, unlike TNA, which was losing money year after year after year. So if we're talking what's the most profitable company, simply getting a mega deal doesn't, look at see the deal WWE got for Fox. That was a massive deal for SmackDown. But if WWE if it was costing WWE $10 billion every year to run the company, then you're not making a profit, are you?
No. And the key with a profit is, if you took out the Tony Khan money, would they still be making a profit? Absolutely not. They're not even making a profit with the Tony Khan money.
So, this might be the second biggest deal that a company in wrestling's ever got. I'm not disputing that. In terms of the financial and the money receiving, it could be a lucrative deal, and it could be the second biggest. But does that make AEW the most profitable? Because look how much money they're spending.
But that's why you get shareholders in WWE, because they want a piece of the pie. No cunt wants a piece of this pie.
It's a losing pie. It's a pie that tastes like shit. You know, you're not making money.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Say you get let's say $1 trillion, $1 trillion, whatever, to put your show on fucking sci-fi. Well, that's all good, but I mean, see if it's costing you $2 trillion to run the show, then no, you're not making a profit, you're losing money.
You're losing money.
And that seems to be what AEW's doing. Anyway, guys, like, if any of you are historians and you know more about the figures and how much money all these companies were making, maybe somebody can let us know down below in the comments. I'm sure Dave Meltzer will be pretty good at this. Maybe he's inflated the numbers to try and inflate Tony Khan's ego, but for me, I'm not convinced. I don't think that I don't see how AEW can possibly be the most second profitable company in wrestling history when we always hear about how much money they're losing. Like, it's Tony Khan's money that keeps this company afloat. It's not AEW turning over and making money. That it's not AEW that are affording to sign Ospreay for $5 million. That's Tony Khan that's affording that. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but that's it, guys. Let us know your thoughts down below. Till next time, peace.